But there's something about walking through the doors, right? And when you walk through these doors here, somebody greets you, right? You get greeted right away with a smile. Maybe somebody shoves something in your hand. What's this? Right? And then you walk into the space and you start to look around and say, hey, where am I going to sit? And for most of us, that's the same place every single Sunday, right? Even though there's these nice seats right here, so if you want to shift, anytime. But then you find your way to your seat, right? And along the way to your seat, what happens? Well, you greet some more people, right? You shake some more hands and you give some more hugs and there's some more smiles, right? And then you sit in your seat and the bell rings and Cheryl starts playing something. And then something starts to happen in your spirit. All that doubt, all that anxiety, all that pent up, whatever you were carrying would start to get surrendered a little bit. And you hand it over to God. And then we do a little bit of the worship things, right? We do some responsive calls, we sing some songs, we do some prayers, and we do it as a community. And somewhere in the midst of all of that, you change. And then we sing that final song and we stand up and there's a benediction and we get sent on our way and we saunter our way back out to our cars, making lunch plans in our head, right? Then we get home and we eat that lunch and hopefully we share with people that we care about. Then we go through the rest of our afternoon and maybe we have great plans, right? It's a beautiful day, maybe we go swimming, maybe we go fishing, maybe we just hang out in the house, maybe we do laundry, we go to the grocery store. And then that next week starts. And hopefully, this serves as a jumping off point for your spirit. That you might be made new every single time you step foot through those doors. That you might be covered in the grace of God and you might know that you're different than when you started. Won't you pray with me? Creator God, sustainer of our lives, we thank you for the way that you make us new. We thank you for the way that you hold us, you love us, and you constantly challenge us that we might be even better versions of the creation that you made, that we might lean into your understanding and not our own, that we might overcome those small pangs of guilt, grief, shame, and fear, and doubt, that we may be covered in your love, that we might know that we can be made new in any moment, any second, and any day, that we might be transformed from the inside out through your Spirit and through your love. The people of God proclaim together. Amen. You know, kindness, well, it's kind of tricky, right? Raise your hand if you think kindness is a tricky thing. Oh, wow. Nobody thinks kindness is tricky? Well, it is. I think we all have a desire to be kind, right? We want to pour love out in the world. We want to be the people that we're called to be, but sometimes, well, it doesn't work out that way, does it? I mean, we can wake up with the right intention. We can have all of the energy that we want to have, right? With hope in our hearts and love on our tongue, but sometimes the day just gets away from us. And it's for good reason, right? Because let's be honest, life is frustrating sometimes. Do you at least agree with that? Life is incredibly frustrating. You know, work can be overwhelming. School can be overwhelming. And let's not even talk about relationships, right? Kids, goodness. Partners, family, friends, co-workers. Can take its toll really quickly. And so, how often are we really able to carry kindness from the very beginning of our day all the way through the maze that life presents us and somehow emerge on the other side unfazed? The truth of the matter is, it seems like that happens less and less, that we're able to carry it all the way through. And you might ask, why is it so frustrating? Why? You see, we seem to be moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, not really going anywhere. You ever feel that way? Going so fast, but I really didn't accomplish anything today. And somewhere in the middle of all of that pace, we seem to have gotten our priorities rearranged. You know, when we visited Texas a couple weeks ago, my family and I, we went to Marshall's. And Marshall's in Dallas is a whole different thing than Marshall's in Columbia, right? And we went for pet toys. It was something very simple, very innocent, right? We knew exactly where we wanted to get. And so here is my family, the three of us, with a cart walking through the aisles. And they're kind of small aisles, right? And imagine a person on the other side of that aisle. And they've got a cart. And they've got an agenda too, right? Maybe they want to get pet toys as well. And we're walking down the aisles. And these people, they did something that really astonished me. Over and over again, every single aisle that we went down, there was a person on the other end of the aisle walking down the center of the aisle with their cart. And somehow, my family of three in our cart had to squeeze around them. And these people didn't look at us. These people didn't acknowledge us. They didn't say hi, hello, excuse me, or just that smile. No head nods, no nothing. And it was really bewildering. We were forced to squeeze around them. You know, I've had enough time back in Missouri that I've forgotten the way it works down there. And it really broke my heart a little bit. But the truth is, it doesn't take much for us to abandon kindness. All it takes is several bad experiences, right? A couple of heartbreaks and some letdowns. All it takes is one person to ruin the party for everybody. But Jesus tells a different story. In this text, he tells a completely different story. At about the same time, Jesus left the house and he sat on the beach. And in no time at all, a whole crowd gathered along the shoreline and forced him to get into a boat. And using the boat as his pulpit, he addressed his congregation, telling stories. What do you make of this? A farmer planted seed. As he scattered the seed, some of it fell on the road, and the birds, well, they ate it. Some of it fell on gravel, and it sprouted quickly, but it didn't put down roots. So when the sun came up, it withered just as quickly. And some of it fell in the weeds. And as it came up, it was strangled by the weeds. But some of it fell on good earth, producing a harvest beyond his wildest dreams. Are you listening to this? Really listening? Study this story of the farmer planting seed. When anyone hears the news of the kingdom and doesn't take it in, it just remains on the surface. And so the evil one comes along and plucks it right out of that person's heart. This is the seed the farmer scatters on the road. And the seed cast in the gravel, this is the person who hears and instantly responds with enthusiasm. But there is no soil of character. And so when the emotions wear off and some difficulty approaches, there's nothing to show for it. And the seed cast in the weeds is the person who hears the kingdom news. But weeds of worry and illusions about getting more and wanting everything under the sun, well, they strangle what was heard. And nothing comes of it. And the seed cast on good earth is the person who hears and takes in the news and produces a harvest beyond his wildest dreams. We've all heard this story before, right? And Jesus is walking his disciples through this idea that seed, well, it only grows in the most fruitful of soil. In good soil, right? You've heard that term before, good soil. It only grows in earth that's hungry to grow. But here's the thing. We aren't good soil, are we? You know, there's a couple people that are shaking their head. They're thinking, yes, we are. Well, let's reframe. They're thinking, yes, I am. Right? But the truth of the matter is we're not. Think about it. We're fickle. We just are. We lie. We cheat. We turn our back on God. We doubt. We lean into ease and comfort. We choose ourselves time after time, right? We're not a good investment, are we? When we think about that, the story can be understood as reckless, right? This farmer is recklessly throwing his seed everywhere. You only have so much seed, right? You're going to waste it in all these poor places. You know where it grows. Why are you going to waste it over there when you can just use all of it over here, right? It seems ridiculous. This person would just throw his seed everywhere and hope that magically bad soil would become good. Doesn't make sense. Because where does the seed actually grow? What does Jesus say? Where does it grow? Good soil. It grows in good soil. And it doesn't line up with our understanding of the world, with our understanding of ourselves. And as a result, we live out the story without living out the story. Jesus tells his disciples this story. And much like us, they nod their heads as though they understand, but they and we don't understand. We write a conclusion of our own, and we live out that conclusion in the world. We make the lesson a cautionary tale of the farmer, of the sower, and not a lesson on the seed. And so we begin to withhold. It starts small, quickly grows and grows, the amount that we withhold. We begin to selectively pick our spots. We begin to stand silent when we should speak up. We begin to sit idle when we should do something. We should lend a hand. And we wind up here, where everything is so frustrating. Kindness feels like it's not around the corner. And you know what? Kindness is a tricky thing. It's hard to be kind when you don't think it's going to be returned. It's hard to be kind when you're sad or hurt. It's hard to be kind when you're frustrated or angry. And it seems foolish to cast our seed out into what we see as a load of gravel. We set an expectation of the outcome before we ever pour anything out. That doesn't seem like a good investment. But here's the thing, my friends. That never stopped Jesus. Never stopped Jesus. The fact that you look like gravel, not good soil, you look like gravel. The fact that you were doubting and turning away, the fact that you were less than perfect soil, it didn't stop Jesus. Jesus gave us an example that we might pour out all of our hearts, all of our souls for the world to grow. That we might be hope and love, grace and peace, and kindness for all. That we don't predetermine who is worth our love, who deserves our kindness or compassion, that we don't miss an opportunity to sow our seed of hope. And that in the midst of it all, we encounter failure. That we might even have a seed that falls through the cracks, but that it will never, ever, ever be in vain. And most of all, if we want to have it all, we have to be willing to surrender it all first. My friends, choosing kindness, well, it is hard. But so is being angry all the time. So is being full of fear and doubt. So is standing still. Life itself is a risk. Every moment of every single day. So how do you want to spend those days? How do you want to spend those moments? And what would happen if you chose to live as an extravagant sower? I've been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. The life I live in the body, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. Thanks be to God.